60 Minutes Overtime.
She was known as just Daphne, a journalist and mother of 3 who was killed by a car bomb near her home in Malta last year. This is one of the few international TV interviews she gave about her work.
I think at the moment, yes, I have to say it is a very corrupt country.
People just come here and leave them.
60 Minutes reported on Daphne's murder this week with correspondent John Wertheim. The producers behind that story, Michael Gavshon and David Levine, went to Malta to try to understand why someone would want to kill her.
Well, Daphne Caruana Galizia was an extremely brave and resilient reporter who was also a flamethrower.
Her blog was not what most people in the United States would associate with a traditional journalistic voice. She had a point of view. She mixed reporting with criticism, with opinion. She could be personal, she could be snarky, she could be nasty, and she also produced scoop after scoop.
Something was going to give, like either my mother or the people she was reporting on.
But she's reporting on powerful, maybe vindictive people.
Yes, they were more powerful than her in the end.
You know, Matthew, her son, talked about the fact that she was a woman sort of doing this reporting, leveling these allegations on her blog, made people in Malta, made them even angrier, that a woman would dare to sort of speak out like this.
It was such a blow to their ego that it was a woman who was doing this and that she was so effective. They couldn't take it. It was a mortal blow to their ego.
And it didn't just make them angry, it made them sort of violently angry.
A car bomb is not a sound that I think a lot of people would recognize, but straight away, you had a sense what had happened.
Yes, I knew straight away. It was like a big shell going off. And I just jumped out of my chair and I just came sprinting down here.
This didn't happen out of the blue, right?
No, there was a long history of intimidation. She and her family were subjected to threats over a long period of time.
My mother had picked up my brothers and I from school. And when we got home, our collie was laid out on the doorstep, on the threshold.
Your dog?
Our dog, with its throat slit.
You think this was triggered by what she'd written?
Yes, it was. Because immediately following that, the front door of the house was set on fire.
We learn in your story that at the time of her death, she was actively investigating corruption. If those investigations go unfinished, unpublished, isn't that, allowing her murderers to win?
Well, there's been a very interesting phenomenon that has resulted from Daphne's death, that Matthew and major news organizations around the world have taken up her cause.
It's a consortium of major international news organizations, among them Reuters, The Guardian, who've just picked up where she left off, and they're doing this sort of shoe leather work of picking through what she was onto, and they're still publishing stories.
And while the intention might have been to silence her and to take the spotlight away from the corruption, in fact, the work that she was involved with has continued, more than a year after her death.
So it actually had the opposite effect.
It had the opposite effect.
Because we're sitting here talking about Daphne right now.
Right. I don't think that the people who were responsible ultimately for her murder could have anticipated just what an outrage her death has caused, and the fact that her work ultimately does continue. It continues through her son Matthew. And it's not only looking at the investigations that she was involved in, but also his quest to find the truth about her murder.
People who mean well say things like, you have to live your own life, your mother would have wanted you to live your own life, but it's just impossible. If you want justice, then this becomes your life.